Boker Tov, everyone.
Boker Tov.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Good to see everybody this morning. We've been together a lot the last couple of days. Celebrating Shabbat, standing in Sinai together. Now here we are in Shabbat. It's a beautiful day today. A good day to be celebrating Shabbat as a community. And as we begin our service this morning, I invite you just to take a few moments to center yourself in this place. We're about to begin with the words that say, "How good are your tents, O Jacob, your dwelling places, O Israel." How good it is to be in this place, in this dwelling place, this Mishkan. Take a few moments just to breathe in this space that you're sitting in, to notice the beating of your heart, feeling of your breath moving in and out of your lungs. We focus ourselves for prayer as the ancients did. Our tradition says in the Talmud, the rabbis talk about preparing for prayer before they prayed. And some of the opening prayers of our service are meant really just to prepare us, put us in that space for prayer. Page 71. page 73, for the words of Elohai Neshama, God, the soul that you have given to me is pure. We join together on the top of page 74, the words of Lasuk v'divrei Torah. We praise you, God, who commands us to engage in the study of Torah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah, b'divrei Torah, la'asok b'divrei Torah, b'divrei Torah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah, b'divrei Torah, la'asok b'divrei Torah, b'divrei Torah. Elu devarim she'en lahem shiur she'adam ochel pirotehem ba'olam hazeh v'akeren kayemet lo le'olam haba ve'elu hein. These are the mitzvot which have no limit. One eats of their fruit at this time, yet their full effect is without measure. Kibud av la'em, to honor father and mother. Ugemilut chasadim, to perform acts of love and kindness. V'hashkamat beit hamidrash shakari v'arvit, to attend the house of study daily. V'hachnasat orchim, to welcome the stranger. Uvikur chovim, to visit the sick. V'hachnasat chatan v'chala, to bring marriage partners to the chuppah. U'bayat hamet, to accompany the dead to burial. V'iyun tefillah, to pray with sincerity. V'hava'at shalom ben adam l'chavero, to make peace when there is strife. The Talmud Torah keneged kulam, and the study of Torah is equal to them all, because it leads to them all. Please join me at the bottom of page 79 as we chant together Birchot Shabbat Yom, the blessings for each day. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan tzaddik bina le'avim ben yom u'ben layla. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, she'asani b'tzalmo. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, she'asani b'tori.
Eloheinu melech haolam, Ma'misharim. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, Matir asurim. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, Zokeh kefufim. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, Roharetz alamayim. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, she'asani kol zorgi. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, Ma'ameklim mitzadei daber. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, Ozer Yisrael libura. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, Ozer Yisrael b'tifara. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, Anoten le'arei koach. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, Ha'ma'ir she'nam le'enai, u't'ru'ah le'alvavai.
On page 82, the words of Pesukei, the Zimra, the Psalms and Poems of Praise. As we continue responsively in the English, Barry, would you lead us there?
We praise the one who spoke and the world came to be. We praise the source of creation.
We praise the one whose word is deed, whose thought is fact. We praise the one whose compassion covers the earth and its creatures.
We praise the living and the eternal God. We praise the name of our Redeemer.
With songs of praise we extol you and proclaim you are sovereign God. For you are the source of life in the universe. We offer blessings to you through our songs of praise. Please join me on the bottom of page 89 for the words of Psalm 150, Kol Hanshama Tehallel. Alleluia, 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 alleluia. Kol Hanshama Tehallel. Alleluia, alleluia. Kol Hanshama Tehallel. Alleluia, alleluia. Alleluia, alleluia, alleluia. Alleluia, alleluia, alleluia. Alleluia, alleluia, alleluia. Alleluia, alleluia, alleluia. Kol Hanshama Tehallel. 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 Alleluia, alleluia. Bottom of page 90. Nishmat kol chai tevarech et shimcha Adonai Eloheinu. The top of page 91. Roz, would you lead us responsibly in the English?
Let every living soul praise your eternal name, O God. Let the breath of every creature sing forever to your glory. Through all eternity, you alone are God. There is no creator but you.
Though our mouths should overflow with songs of sea, our tongues with melodies of roaring waves, our lips with its wide expanse, and though our eyes were to shine as the sun and the moon, our arms extend like eagle's wings, our feet speed swiftly as deer, still we could not fully thank you, God of all ages, or bless your name enough for even one of your infinite kindnesses to our ancestors and to us.
Therefore, O God, limbs and tongue and heart and mind shall join to praise your name. Every tongue will yet affirm you, and every soul give you allegiance.
As it is written, all my lips shall say, Adonai, who is like you. And David sang, Bless Adonai, my soul, and let all that is within me bless God's holy name.
God abides forever, the high and holy one. Therefore, let all who are righteous sing God's song. Praise befits the upright.
We
Praise you, God of wonders, exalted with praise, who delights in song, the only one, the light of the universe. Yekador, Yekadash, Mirabah. Amen. May Almighty grant your day on the holiday. Page 95 in the English. Harold Portnoy, would you lead us there?
We praise you, eternal God, whose presence fills creation, creator of light and darkness, who makes peace and gives life to all. With compassion, you illumine the world and its inhabitants. Through your goodness, creation is continually renewed.
How you have varied your works. All of them were made with wisdom. The universe is filled with your creative power. The stars and planets themselves radiate praise for you.
Cause a new light to shine upon Zion, and may we be worthy to behold its splendor.
We praise you, Eternal One, the Creator of light. Please join me on page 98, the middle of the page. Enlighten us with Torah, inspire us to embrace your mitzvot. Bocher Be'amo Yisrael Be'ahava. We praise you, Eternal One, who chooses us, your people Israel, with love. And with love, on page 101, we rise in body or in spirit for the words of the Shema and Be'ahavta. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavecha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'otecha. Ve'ayu ha'dvarim ha'ele asher Anochi mitzaveh hayom al levavecha v'shinatam levavecha v'divatam v'shitecha b'techa u'lechtecha derech u'shaltecha u'lumecha u'kshartam le'ot al yadecha v'hayu letodavot be'minecha u'lotartam al mezuzot beitecha u'bisharecha למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם אלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. Amen. Please be seated as we continue on page 103 with words of redemption, words of Geulah. Gail, could you lead us there?
Emet v'yavsiv, true and certain it is that you are God.
As we yearn for certainty in a constantly changing world, enable us to find its source in you.
Nachon v'kayam, firm and endearing is your name throughout all generations.
May our trust in you preserve us for generations to come.
Ahu v'chaviv, blessed and precious are your teachings to our ancestors and to us.
By observing the traditions of our people, may we come to meet you as our ancestors did, and bring your presence into our lives.
Norah v'adir, awesome and majestic is the redemptive power that you have displayed to the people of Israel.
Our people witnessed your presence when you delivered us from slavery to freedom. In beholding your redeeming power, we discovered our own capacity for tikkun olam, amending the world.
Moses lifted his staff and showed us the power of trust. Waves of the sea swelled apart, and we crossed over to the shore of freedom.
Miriam lifted her timbrel and showed us the power of song. Waves of voices swelled together, and we gave thanks to you for the gift of freedom.
Tehilot la'el elyon. Like our ancestors, we raise our voices in song to the supreme God, the source of blessing.
All the same. With prayer, we invite God's presence to confuse our spirits, and let God's will prevail in our lives. Prayer cannot bring water to parched fields, or mend a broken bridge, or rebuild a ruined city, but prayer can water an arid soul, mend a broken heart, and rebuild a weakened kingdom. Sur Israel, Kuma Israel, Israel, Udei Mecha Yehuda Israel, Go Aleinu, Adonai Tzvaot Shelo, Kedosh Israel, Baruch Adonai, Ga'al Israel. Adonai Tzvaot Tachuvia Yitzilatecha, Baruch Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor B'Hanurah, El Elyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim, V'Kamei Hakol, V'Zofer Chasdei Avot V'Imot, U'Mevi Geulah Livnei, L'man Shemo V'Yahava, Melech Ozer Moshiach Magin, Baruch Atah Adonai, Magin Ba'am, Ve'ezvat Sarava, Atah Gibor Adonai, Mechayim HaKotah, Rav Moshiach, Mechakel Chayim Chesed, Mechayim HaKol B'Rachamim Rabim, Somer Noflim, Rofeh Olim, Umatir Asurim, U'Mkayim Unato, Lishnei Ha'ar, Michamocha B'Gevulot, U'Midomecha, Melech Mitukhalei, U'Masviach Yeshua, V'ne'emonata Le'chayot HaKol, Baruch Atah Adonai, B'chayei HaKol. נקדש את שמך בעולם, כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמרון, ככתוב על יד נביאך, וקרא זה אל זה ויאמר, קדוש, 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 אדוני צבאות, מלוך הארץ, כבודו. אדיר, אדירנו, אדוני, אדוננו, מאדיר שמך בכל הארץ. ברוך כבוד אדוני ממקומו. אחד הוא אלוהינו, הוא אבינו ומלכנו, הוא מושיענו והוא ישמיענו, ברחמיו לעיני כל חי. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, ימלוך אדוני לעולם, אלוהי ציון, לדור ודור.
Page 118. Sing, 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 shalom, sing, 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 shalom, sing, 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 shalom, tova u'berachah. Sing, 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 shalom, sing, 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 shalom, sing, 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 shalom, tova u'berachah. Ya la 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 la, ya la la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la la la, ya la la la. Sing, 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 shalom, sing, 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 shalom, sing, 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 shalom, tova u'berachah. We turn now to page 125 for Seder Kriyat HaTorah, the order for reading Torah on Shabbat morning. Shirley, would you lead us at the bottom of page 125?
Somewhere out of time, in the mystery of time, somewhere between memory and forgetfulness, dimly though I remember how once I stood at your mountain trembling amid the fire and the thunder, how I stood there out of bondage in a strange land and afraid.
And you loved me, and you fed me, and I feasted on your words. And yes, I can remember how the fire was my heart, and the fire was my soul.
Oh God, I do remember. The fire burns in me anew, and here I am once more, a witness to that timeless moment, present now in the light of your Torah. I am renewed.
We rise at the bottom of page 126 as we take the Torah from the Ark. Aharavamim, Heitiva b'tzoncha, et Zion, Tivnei Yerushalayim, ki lecha levatavnu, melech el-matnisa, Adon Olamim, ki Zion tetzei Torah, ki Zion tetzei Torah, udvar Adonai miYerushalayim, Baruch Shenatan Torah Torah, Baruch Shenatan Torah Torah, le'amo Yisrael b'kedushato. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo, Gadol Adonai Itim, Odena Shema Yada, Echad, Hagevula, Hagevula.
שלושה דברים, על שלושה דברים, על שלושה דברים, העולם עומד. על התורה ועל העבודה ועל גמילות חסדים, על התורה ועל העבודה ועל גמילות חסדים.
We're reading this morning from Numbers chapter 4, verse 21 and following. You can find that on page 923 in the newer commentary. So if you're following in the newer commentary, that is the one that has the word Torah written down the spine like this. If you're following in the older commentary, that's on page 1043. So again, newer commentary, some of those are going around right now. That's on page 923. The older commentary, page 1043, Numbers chapter 4, beginning verse 21. This is an accounting of the Gershonite clan.
Yahod Rishon, Yosef, Galatiat, Betamar.
Baruch et Adonai HaMorah.
Baruch Adonai
Baruch HaMorah Le'olam Ba'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam. Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Ha'amim. Ve'natan Lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Notei HaTorah.
Amen. Amen. Vayedaber Adonai el Moshe lemor, naso et rosh b'nei Gershon. Gam hem lebeit avotam lemishpachotam mibein 30 shana umala ad bein 50 shana tivkod otam. Kol habal litzovat tzava la'avod avodat be'ohel moed.
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam. Asher natan lanu Torah emet. V'chayei olam natav v'tocheinu. Baruch Atah Adonai Notei HaTorah.
Amen.
Tamosh Shniya, Shoshana, Bet Eliezer, Eliyahu, Bet Zero.
Baruch et Adonai HaMorah.
Baruch Adonai Habarach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Barach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam Asher Bachar Banu B'Kol Ha'amim V'natan Lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen. Zot avodat mishpachot hagershoni la'avod l'masa v'nasu et yiriyat hamishkan ve'et ohel moed mechasehu u'mechaseh hatachash asher alav milamala ve'et masach petach ohel moed ve'et klei hachetzer ve'et masach petach sha'ar hachetzer asher al hamishkan ve'el hamizbeach saviv et mitrehem ve'et kol klei avodatam ve'et kol asher ya'aseh lahem ve'avdu.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam Asher Natan Lanu Torah Emet L'chayei Olam Natav B'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen.
Tamosh Shlishit, Gilad, Bat Meir, V'Sara.
Baruch et Adonai HaMorah.
Baruch Adonai Habarach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai HaMorah Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Ha'amim V'natan lanu et Torato, Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah.
Amen. Amen. Al pi Aharon uvanav tihiyeh kol avodat b'nei hagershoni l'chol masam u'l'chol avodatam upikadtem alehem b'mishmeret et kol masa'am zot avodat mishpachot b'nei hagershoni be'ohel moed u'mishmartem b'yad Itamar ben Aharon hakohen. B'nei morari l'mishpachotam l'veit avotam tifkod otam מבין 30 שנה ומעלה ועד בני 50 שנה תפקדם כל הבא לצבא לעבוד את עבודת אוהל מועד.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Yamod Hamakia, Chaim ben Avraham v'Sarah, Talmud HaGulalet.
Please rise as the Torah is lifted.
Vezot HaTorah Asher Sam Moshe Livnei Bnei Yisrael Al Pi Adonai V'yad Moshe Vezot HaTorah Asher Sam Moshe Vezot HaTorah Vezot HaTorah Asher Sam Moshe Vezot HaTorah Livnei Bnei Yisrael Vezot HaTorah Ani Adonai V'yad Moshe Vezot HaTorah Vezot HaTorah Asher Sam Moshe Vezot HaTorah Vezot HaTorah Asher Sam Moshe Vezot HaTorah Livnei Bnei Yisrael Vezot HaTorah Ani Adonai V'yad Moshe Vezot HaTorah Vezot HaTorah Asher Sam Moshe Vezot HaTorah.
Our Haftarah this morning is taken from the book of Judges, chapter 13, beginning verse 19. You can find that on the bottom of page 948 in the newer commentary, or page 1257 in the older commentary. Again, that's either page 948 or 1257, Judges 13, beginning verse 19. Ta'amod Yehudit bat Eliyahu ve'Esther hamaftira. Blessings for Haftarah are on 131 in the Siddur.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar b'nei Torah
מנוח את גדי העזים בעת המנחה, ויעל על הצור לאדוני, ומפליא לעשות, ומנוח ואשתו רואים. ויהי בעלות הלהב מעל המזבח השמיימה, ויעל מלאך אדוני בלהב המזבח, ומנוח ואשתו רואים, ויפלו על פניהם ארצה. ולא יסף עוד מלאך אדוני להיראות אל מנוח ואל אשתו. אז ידע מנוח כי מלאך אדוני הוא. ויאמר מנוח אל אשתו, מות נמות, כי אלוהים ראינו. ותאמר לו אשתו, לו חפץ אדוני להמיתנו, לא לקח בידינו עולה ומנחה, ולא הראנו את כל אלה, וכעת לא השמיענו כזאת. ותלד האישה בן, ותקרא את שמו שמשון, ויגדל הנער, ויברכהו אדוני. ותחל רוח אדוני לפעמו, במחנה דן, בין צורעה ובין אשתאול. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו, מלך העולם, צור כל העולמים, צדיק בכל הדורות, האל הנאמן, האומר ועושה, המדבר ומקיים, שכל דבריו אמת וצדק, על התורה ועל העבודה ועל המילים ועל יום השבת הזה שנתת לנו, אדוני אלוהינו, לקדושה ולמנוחה, לכבוד ותפארת על הכל, אדוני אלוהינו. אנחנו מודים לך ומברכים אותך, יתברך שמך בפי כל חי תמיד לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת.
תודה רבה, ג'ודית. We turn now to the words of Mishaberach on page 133, as we ask God's blessing for those in need of healing of body and healing of spirit. Mishaberach Avotenu Abraham Yitzhak v'Yaakov v'imotenu Sarah Rivka Rachel v'Leah hu yivarech v'yirapeh et kol cholei Yisrael. May the one who blessed the patriarchs and the matriarchs of our people also bless and heal all those who require healing. We think especially this morning in our congregation of Mel Chelsky, Frank Kay, Raymond and Francis Rigby, Eudora Torres, Consuelo Franco, Dylan Coquel, Janet Brown, Wilfred Walker, Shirley Herman, Rick Valentine, Marlene Friedman, Jack Hoodlatz, Suzanne Scher-Stimson, Bernie McLennan, Nicola Proetti, Rebecca Bodville, Philip Shepard, Carl Katz, Rena Rowan, Yolanda Ruzzi, Madeline Kitson, Kathy Kitson, Dee Hickey, Lorraine DaCosta, Adela Tsur, Al Lofsky, Evelyn Tyndall, Amanda Schenk, Daniel Black, Jean Elizabeth Pitt, Karen Smith, Francis Van Tyne, and Bob Smith. I invite you to share any other names for those who are praying for healing this morning. HaKadosh Baruch Hu Yimaleh Rachamim Alehem Tehei HaShechina Shurua Alehem. May the Holy Blessed One treat them with compassion. May the Shekhinah rest upon them so that they may be restored to wholeness in body and in soul. We say together, Amen. We turn now to page 136 as we rise to return the Torah to the earth. So we have just been standing at Sinai to receive the Aseret HaDibrot, the Ten Commandments, just yesterday morning at Shavuot, Thursday night, as we were staying up all night to learn and to study. And I thought it might be interesting this morning for us to consider who wrote the Ten Commandments? How did we get them? You know, there are some interesting commentaries and certainly some ideas about where the Ten Commandments and Torah come from. And Torah mina shamayim, Torah from heaven, the divinity of Torah, or is it the work of human beings and God in collaboration? In any case, the tradition that we have has been handed down from generation to generation through human beings. And it's interesting to look at the different teachings of how Torah was given and received by us. So I thought we would look at a couple of passages this morning that talk about that. First, we have Exodus 31:18, and that tells us, as we were standing there at Sinai waiting to receive the Torah, Moses had gone up to the mountain, been up there a long time, 40 days and 40 nights, dutifully learning everything, recording it all, so that when Moses came down, Moses would be able to transmit what God had told to Moses. And so it says that upon finishing speaking with him on Mount Sinai, God gave Moses the 2 tablets of the pact, stone tablets that were inscribed with the finger of God. So that teaches us what? They were inscribed with the finger of God. Where does Torah come from? Where does the Aseret HaDibrot, those 10 Commandments, come from? Literally inscribed. God has a finger, which is really interesting too, right? Like, we're B'Tselem Elohim, we have fingers. But on the other hand, God doesn't have a human form. Somehow, this was transmitted to us by the finger of God. And then, of course, we see just a little bit later what happened when Moses came down. Thereupon Moses turned and went down from the mountain bearing the 2 tablets of the pact, tablets inscribed on both their surfaces. They were inscribed on the one side and on the other. And the tablets were God's work, and the writing was God's writing, incised upon the tablets. That's pretty clear, right? It's very clear that those tablets were written by the finger of God. It indicates that the wording of the Torah's laws, at least the Aseret HaDibrot, the 10 Commandments, or what we might call the 10 utterances, because that's really what the word Dibrot means, the 10 speakings, those came directly from God. But us, we're waiting at the foot of the mountain. We don't have the opportunity to acquire direct knowledge of what is written on those tablets by ourselves, because what happened next? Just 3 verses later, Exodus 32. As soon as Moses came near the camp and saw the camp and the dancing, he became enraged, and he hurled the tablets from his hands and shattered them at the foot of the mountain. Now, granted, Moses was probably right to be angry, right? He had spent all of this time and energy leading the people. He had gone up, he had had this amazing experience on the mountain. And we were all sitting there waiting around. Where's Moses? Is Moses coming back? Maybe we're doomed to just sit here in the wilderness. We don't know where to go. And what happened? Well, we made the egel, the golden calf. We needed something tangible to hold on to. And so we never saw what was on those tablets. We didn't get them directly. They were given to us through Moses. After a while, God says to Moses, okay, I'm angry too, but I'll give you all a second chance. I'll give you a second set of tablets. Come back up here. And then it says in Exodus 31, Adonai said to Moses, carve 2 tablets of stone like the first, and I'll inscribe upon the tablets the words that were on the first tablets, which you shattered. Okay. It seems like the second set are coming directly from God. Again, those are divinely given to us or divinely inspired. And Moses is preparing for this. It says that he ate no water, he drank no water, he ate no food. He wrote on the tablets the words of the covenant. So that's what it says in Exodus 34, towards the end of the chapter. Adonai said to Moses, write down these commandments. For in accordance with these commandments, I make a covenant with you and with Israel. He's there for 40 days and 40 nights again. He fasts, he's taking it seriously. And it says, and he wrote down on the tablets the terms of the covenant, the 10 commandments. So who wrote that second set? Probably Moses. Now, you could read this as if it was God. In fact, some of the commentators try and do that. They look at the subject of the verb, wrote. It seems to be Moses. Some commentators look at it and try to change the syntax around a little bit, but it's difficult. Even some of our classic medieval commentators, such as Ramban and Rashi and Ibn Ezra, say, well, really, there's a change in subject here. It's God that's the subject of the verb, right? But it's a little harder to hang that on the verb. And other interpreters say, no, it was Moses. That's pretty clear. God doesn't intend literally to write the second set. And that's okay. That's to show that God is approving of what Moses is writing down. And grammatically, that makes more sense. And Moses participated in producing these words that were given to us. So there's a lot here to think about and to kind of unpack. And, one is this anthropomorphic portrayal of God, which is not necessarily really what we often learn about. And the other is the idea of whether or not we believe that there was a divine being that wrote these words with a finger, or how they were transmitted to us. So I want to ask a couple of questions. Does it matter who wrote the first and the second set? Do you like the idea that there is something completely divine, and then the second set is not? Horace?
Yeah, I think it does matter who writes the first and the second. I think if we look at the first one, it's written by a deity. And you're handing this to humans who probably have no idea how to interpret and how to apply what the deity has written. The second one is inspired by Moses, or inspired by God and written by Moses to the people that he's amongst, which might be a lot easier to understand and a lot easier to interpret than from a deity.
So it's easier to interpret coming from a human being, maybe. Was there something that God learned here? You're saying it's a lot easier for people to understand this if it was coming from another person.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at a legal, a judgment from a lawyer or from a judge, from a court, it might not be easier for someone like a easy layperson to understand that, unless it's interpreted by a lawyer or applied by a lawyer.
Yeah.
And I think in a situation where you have people coming from Egypt, who their only customs is to a God that they can see, not to a God that they can see, have never seen. And all of a sudden you're giving them a new culture, new teachings. It's a little difficult to solve.
Thank you for that. Yeah, that's very important to lift up to, is to consider where the people are coming from. And maybe that wasn't part of the thinking or part of the plan here. Joel, did you have your hand up? And then Roz?
God learned that when it comes to people, at least, if you want their buy-in, you have to involve them in the process more actively.
Okay. So God did learn from this that there had to be human participation. Roz?
So I think there's three parties here, right? There's God, and there's the people, and then there's Moses. Mm-hmm. And maybe the fact that it was written in Moses' hand the second time was more important, so that Moses did it himself. he didn't throw down his own work the same way he threw down God's work, if you want to take that third party into account.
So for Moses, he needed to be part of the deal too. It wasn't just passing something off to the people. He needed to be part of it.
Yeah, and then the other question is, Horace used the word inspired by God. I think of song copywriting. Was the second set inspired by God, or was it directly taken down by God, by Moses, as a complete copy of that first set of tablets? Was it changed in any way? And I don't have the feeling that it was. I think in copyright court it would probably be said to be God's work.
Well, we'll never really know that, right? Because we don't have a complete set of the first ones. What we do have are lots of ancient parchments that have ostensibly pretty much the same as what's written in our Torah today, from thousands of years ago. So we can assume probably the copyright is clear. That's exactly what was said is what was given to us, what we continue to transmit. And then, of course, if we consider the idea of divine inspiration, so we may not all really believe that all of this came directly from a deity. That's more divine inspiration, people's record of their experience with the holiness in the world, or the divine energy that is part of the world. But it's understandable that scholars are still debating who actually wrote the second set of tablets, because I don't think we're meant to come to a conclusion necessarily. But these tablets that are given also, there's a bit of ambiguity in much of what's written in Torah. That's how we get commentary. It's how we understand text. We also have what's said Torah Shabbat, the written Torah, and this is in the scroll of Torah, and then Torah Shabbat, which is called the oral Torah. But tradition says both of those were handed down to us at Mount Sinai, and that's why Moses spent so much time up there. He was trying to memorize all of it. Of course, Torah Shabbat, which comes afterwards, the Mishnah, the Gemara, the Talmud, the commentaries, the codes, all of that, in some ways was revealed to us over time, right? It became clear to us over time, and we continue to experience that today. But, I think often we think about the second set of the tablets was sort of the consolation prize, I guess, if you will. It's kind of an example of failure of human beings to accept the gift initially. I don't know if that's really true. I want to look at two commentaries on the back side of the page. One is from the Talmud, from Baba Batra. The other is from the Meor Einayim, who's a much more modern, when I say modern, is 18th century commentator. The Talmud, of course, is codified in the 6th century, so much earlier, but that's part of what we call Torah She'ba'al Peh, the oral Torah. The rabbis write in Baba Batra, there was nothing in the ark except the 2 tablets of stone that Moses put there, and that is a direct quotation from the book of 1 Kings. So they asked the question, there was nothing in the ark except, what does that mean? And Rabbi Meir teaches, it shows us there was something in the ark besides the tablets themselves. It serves to include the broken pieces of the first set of tablets, which were placed in the ark. The rabbis teach we have both sets, or at least we did at the time that we were wandering through the wilderness carrying the Aron HaKodesh. Why both? Why do we have both? Do we need them? Just don't want to leave any waste behind. You want to clean up? Joel?
It reminds us that there's more to it than just what's right in front of your face.
Say more about that.
You have to read and understand that it's not just that. There was another version, maybe purer version that God intended, and so we have to search for what that is instead of just looking at the task and going, well, that's all there is, so there you go.
So it's in some ways just like Talmud, in which we keep, as part of the record, the arguments that were going on, both the minority and the majority opinion. The minority opinion is said we keep that because at some time in the future we might need it. There's more to the story. Horace.
Yeah, I'm going to take a very simple view to this, saying that this is, we're speaking of Egypt, who has a visual God. And if the first Torah was written from the fingers of God, this is their visual presentation of who God is. So having that second piece, or the first part of the crumbled part in it, is their visual presentation, whereas the second one is our interpretation of the original.
So it's something about that representation that's tangible too, that says there's more. It's not just our interpretation. There's also something that God gave us. That's the idea of divine inspiration and that connection. Roz.
There's also sort of the temporal way to look at it. So we have a past, a present, and a future. And we have to remember our past to appreciate what we have and what we will be moving forward. So to keep those pieces, to know what we've been and what we've gotten rid of, we still need it to be who we are in the future.
I love that, yeah. That we have a past, we have a present, we have a future, and that all of that comes with us, whether we consciously are aware of it or not. It's there with us. Asher.
Well, I also thought, the humans, we've already shown when we haven't seen Moses for a while, we went in for the golden cow and did that. So also, from what we've seen in Egypt with Moses and the staff parting the sea, well, so far, it's been mostly Moses along with the second, the second tablets. But once Moses is gone, we still have to continue, and we still have to be Jewish. So they probably held on to the first pieces of the ark as well to remind them that, this all did happen. This wasn't something Moses was created, or, there's the real Mount Sinai and the real pieces of the first Torah to hold on to. So, and always have a representation.
Very insightful. Thank you for that, Asher. The idea that that we not only vested our trust in Moses, but that there was something greater that we continue to carry with us, that we can look at and think about and realize it's ours. And that's much of what Torah is really about. As we continue to carry it and teach it through the generations, that our task is to continue studying the written Torah and also bring our own interpretations forward, and remember it comes from somewhere. It wasn't just sort of a dream that our people had at one point. So that brings us to the question of how we define Torah, who's writing Torah today. And the Me'or Einayim, who is a 18th century commentator from the Hasidic tradition, said there are 600,000 letters in the Torah, and there were 600,000 Jews who received Torah at Mount Sinai. Now we know probably a lot more than that, although that 600,000 works nicely with the idea of 613 mitzvot, 613 commandments. But let's go with this drash, 600,000. So he says, from this we learn that each Jewish soul has a spiritual connection to one of the Torah's letters. In other words, each one of us has a letter in the scroll. And each person's Torah is different and unique, and each individual has a special mission in the cosmos of the Torah. If even one letter is missing, the Torah scroll is incomplete. So, this is based on the tradition that there are 600,000 letters in the Torah. There were 600,000 Jews who left Egypt. Neither one of them are exactly accurate. Thank God there are more than 600,000 Jews in the world today. But this idea that each of us has a connection somehow to Torah, that we have the opportunity, I think, to continue to write and wrestle and struggle with Torah. We look for a vision of the whole tablets, and in some way we participate in divine communication of writing Torah. So what do you think about Torah today? What's your letter? What's your phrase in the scroll? You have a particular letter? You have a particular teaching that's most important to you? I invite you to ponder that. Think about it. The idea that all of us are engaged in this extraordinary process of continuing to add pieces of our lives to the Torah of our people today is something that each of us can take on to find our place, to find our understanding, and to carry that forward, to continue to teach it. That's going to help us to complete Torah, to take those pieces that may feel broken and make them whole. Shabbat Shalom. We continue on page 149. As we rise for the words of Aleinu, we pray together for the day that the world will be one and at peace. Please be seated. Page 158. You are with us in our prayer, in our love, in our doubts, in our longing to feel your presence and do your will. You are the still clear voice within us. Therefore, O God, when doubt troubles us, when anxiety makes us tremble and pain clouds the mind, we look inward for the answer to our prayers. There may we find you, and there find courage, insight, and endurance. And let our worship bring us closer to one another, that all Israel and all who seek you may find new strength for your service. At this time, our thoughts turn to those who have departed this earth, our own loved ones, those of our friends and neighbors, and all of those people whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. As we remember them, we meditate on the meaning of love and loss, of life and death. I want to announce that there will be an unveiling on June 4th at 10 a.m. at the Meadowvale Cemetery for Phil Berkowitz. We are in Shloshim at this time, the first 30 days of mourning for Weni Amar, the mother of Jacques, Albert, Esther, and Gabriel, grandmother of 8 and the great-grandmother of 10. For Sue Botnick, the wife of Harold Botnick, the sister of Ruth Weitzman and Ushi Schmidt, and the sister-in-law of Arlene Botnick and Margaret Botnick, the cherished aunt of many nieces, nephews, and cousins. We recall the names of the following, whose yahrzeit, the anniversary of whose death occurs this week: Sylvia Allen, the mother of Roz and the grandmother of Max. Lois Levy, the late wife of Harold, the mother of Michael and Mark, the mother-in-law of Amy and Jill, and the grandmother of Jacob, Zachary, and Lila. Sylvia Marlowe, the late wife of John and the mother of Aaron. Doris Sachs, the mother of Laura Bonner. Albert Katz, the father of Stephen. Jenny Sharon, the mother of Barbara Perlin. Brucha Dombrowski, the grandmother of Raina Rowan and Lila Lachman. Anne Francis, the mother of Shirley Evans and the grandmother of Paul, Susan, and Lisa. And Leah Snyderman, the mother of Rivka Eisman. If you are here to say Kaddish for someone whose name I have not read this morning, I invite you to share their name aloud at this time, or to hold their name in your heart. As we invite those who are mourning to please rise first, that we might say to you, Min hamakom tinachamu, may you find comfort in God's sheltering presence. Now as a community, we all rise to support those who are mourning and to say Kaddish for those who have no one to say it for them as we turn to page 159. Yitgadal v'yikadash shmei Rabbah, be'alma divrach yirtei v'yamlikmal v'tei, v'chayehon v'yamehon, v'chayeh v'kol beit Yisrael, v'agala v'zman karev v'yimru amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah Barach Le'olam Ol Me'omaya. Yitbarach v'yishabach v'yita'ar v'yitarmam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal Shmei D'Kedusha Riku Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata D'mishpachata v'nechemata Da'amiran Me'oma v'yimru amen. Yehei Shlama Rabbah B'Jumaya V'chayim Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Oseh Shalom b'Ramah, Hu Yaseh Shalom, Aleinu v'al Kol Yisrael, v'al Kol B'nei Adam, v'imru Amen. May the source of peace send peace to all those who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved among us, among all of our people Israel, and among all the nations and families of earth. We say together.
Amen.
Please be seated. My pleasure to call upon Joel Brown, representing our board, to share greetings and announcements.
Thank you, Rabbi, and Shabbat Shalom, everyone here and at home. Just a few quick announcements. Let me say thank you to everyone who helped with our service today, Nicole, our Rabbi, and Linda, our Kalila, and Eleanor, I think, who's been shamasing with some help from Horace. So lots of people. It's a group effort. Thank you for that. Just to let you know about some upcoming services. So next weekend, a couple of special events. First of all, on Friday night, our 8 p.m. Erev Shabbat service is also our board installation and awards night. And so we will be finding out who is joining the ranks of Solel's honorable mention. So please join us here or online for that. And then on Saturday, next Saturday, which is the 3rd,
Yes.
there's the guy in the corner who's going to remember. The 3rd of June, Rabbi Pollack and Arlene and some other Solelniks will be going to Beth Isaiah Congregation in Guelph, where Asher Bronson will be celebrating his bar mitzvah. And so you can join us on the live stream for that, or you're welcome to join everyone in Guelph at Beth Isaiah. Also coming up tomorrow morning at 10:30 a.m. is Rabbi Pollock's last adult Torah study session for the season. So you can get the link for that in your shamas. And for everything else, I think you'll find it online or in your inbox. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you, Joel. And we're going to conclude our service with Kiddush and Motzi for Shabbat. And we'll join together for some lovely Oneg Shabbat together. Please join with me on page 164. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat le'dorot berit olam. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat le'dorot berit olam. Bnei Yisrael, oti le'olam. V'shamru bnei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat le'dorot berit olam. Ki sheshet yomim asa Adonai, asa Adonai, et hashamayim ve'et ha'aretz. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat le'dorot berit olam. U'layom ha'shvi Shabbat v'yinachash, Shabbat v'yinachash, Shabbat v'yinachash. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat le'dorot berit olam. Al ken berach Adonai yom ha'Shabbat v'yikadshehu. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei beri ha'gafen. L'chaim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al netilat yadayim. Hamotzi lachem min haaretz, we give thanks to God for bread. Our voices rise in song together as our joyful prayer is said. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lachem min haaretz b'tei avon. B'tei avon, Shabbat Shalom. Please come join us for some Oneg Shabbat, and we wish you a Shabbat of joy and rest and peace. Shabbat Shalom.